Bells and Spells, Romantic Christmas Adventure by Lana Melian. Remember, witches, all magic comes with a price, and Knock Knock Santa is watching you.
Debbie, look, it's snowing. I got up from my bed and sat on the soft, wide windowsill. It's about time, came Debbie's sleepy voice. I drew my face closer to the window pane, glanced up at the white sky, and watched the big snowflakes fall out of nowhere and land on the trees and bushes surrounding the castle. Then I looked down at the cars driving on the wet driveway and out of the iron gates. The parking lot is nearly empty, I said, glancing at Debbie as her face appeared from under the duvet. Thank God, she barked. I like this place much more when it's peopleless. She was annoyed. I had woken her up, and she had been hoping to have a long, uninterrupted sleep on our first day of the Christmas holidays. She turned on her side and covered her head again. Come on, Debbie, you can't do that. You haven't even packed yet. I turned my head toward the sound of familiar laughter coming from the hallway. The next moment, the dorm door opened and Valerie and Millie walked in, still smiling. Are you two ready? Asked Millie. The cheer fading from her face, Valerie looked at Debbie's bed. Why is she still asleep? Debbie threw the duvet off her face. She yawned, pulled herself up, and leaned against the pillows. The question is, why are you all up so early? The party is tomorrow. What's the rush, really? Early? Seriously? Debbie? Valerie rolled her eyes. We decided to leave at 10, and it's almost 11. Debbie raised a brow. Then why are you still in your PJs? We overslept. The alarm didn't go off, but we're packed. And I bet you're not. Everybody's left already, and they're going to get the best rooms. I don't want to spend 2 days in a broom cupboard because your highness wants to sleep. Move your butt. I still want to stop by a few stores and look for a dress. You already have the dress, and the shoes, and the mask. Yeah. But I was thinking maybe. You always think that? You know what? Debbie swung her legs over the side of the bed. I'm hungry. We should get to the cafeteria before it closes. It's already closed, Millie chuckled. No. Debbie's shoulders slumped down. Relax. We can grab something on the road. Valerie drew closer to the window, and the two of us watched the small bus loaded with those who couldn't drive as it pulled away. The academy is almost empty, she said, looking at the 3 cars left in the big front yard. Her car was one of them. She was going to drive us to Pittsburgh Blood Moon Academy for the masquerade ball. Debbie wrapped the duvet around her, dragging it behind her. She got out of bed. She and Millie joined us at the windowsill. Cool, Debbie said excitedly as she glanced down. Maybe we should just stay here, have the whole castle to ourselves. Valerie gave her a look and headed for the door. If you're not ready in 15 minutes, consider your wish granted. You mean we'll stay? Not we. You. All by your lonesome. And you're welcome to watch the 3 of us drive away from any room of any tower you wish. Debbie sighed. She threw the duvet back on the bed and pulled her bag from the closet. When the 4 of us finally exited the tall castle doors, Valerie's car was the only one left in the whole yard. Weird, said Millie as we stopped. Everyone's gone. That's never happened before. Yeah, there's always someone here, agreed Valerie. There still might be, I said. For example, Ms. Adkins doesn't own a car. Ms. Adkins had been the Academy's librarian for the last 43 years, and she rarely left the castle. True, said Valerie, and started toward the car, pulling her small suitcase behind her. For a moment, we stood in silence, looking around at the unusually empty yard and the now white woods surrounding the castle. It's kinda creepy, muttered Millie. We better get out of here while the road is still clean. Valerie fished her car keys out of her coat pocket. We loaded our bags and suitcases into the trunk and got in the car. Me on the passenger seat next to Valerie, and Debbie and Millie in the back seats. "Put your seatbelts on," said Valerie as she shoved the key in the ignition. The moment she turned on the engine, the flaps of the iron gates moved toward each other. The creak coming from the rusty hinges filled the air, and with a loud bang, the gates slammed close. "What the hell?" gasped Debbie while the rest of us stared at the gates with open mouths. Millie's head popped between mine and Valerie's. "How did they... Why would..." she stuttered next to my ear. "What the hell is going on?" muttered Valerie. "Is there some kind of sensor or something?" "A sensor?" I raised a brow. "You mean one that instead of opening doors, it closes them?" "What sensor?" came Debbie's frustrated voice. "Those gates are 1,000,000 years old." "Maybe they just installed it," suggested Valerie. "This is the Academy of Magic. You're a witch, and the first thought that came to you is about some human-made technology? Really?" barked Debbie. "Then what affected that sensor of yours? It can't have been us. The gates didn't close when all the other cars drove out." "Well, that's the question, isn't it?" Valerie retorted. "What if it works when someone wants to come in and not out? For security reasons." They knew the castle would be empty. "Maybe something affected it from outside?" suggested Millie. "Could be an animal or a bird, something living." Valerie and I turned on our seats so we could see Millie and Debbie. "Animal?" Debbie shook her head. "A bird? How are you a witch? If those gates closed every time a bird flew by, they would swing open and shut all day, just like the doors in a supermarket during rush hour." Valerie glared at Debbie. "Before jumping to mysterious supernatural conclusions, we should eliminate all possible logical explanations. Try to find some normal human answers. Okay?" "Okay. But if that was a sensor, the gates would have opened already, because right now I don't see any living thing around it. If this..." With a deep sigh, Debbie pointed her index finger at the gates, "is some modern technology, something human-made, then it's simple, isn't it?" She unbuckled her seatbelt and pushed open her door. "We have to find the source and smash it." She marched toward the gates, and the rest of us followed. What we all stared at wasn't normal at all. The gates were soldered together as if someone had melted the latch in the last few minutes. "Sensor, huh?" Debbie chuckled mirthlessly. "If a human made this, shouldn't the human be here with a welding machine?" She cleared her throat. "Welding..." "Well, isn't this interesting?" muttered Valerie. None of us moved. We just stared at the gates. The silence surrounding us became even more frightening. I was in shock like the rest of them, but standing and staring at the gates wouldn't solve our problem. I was about to suggest we go inside and find someone, but as I opened my mouth, a loud, terrifying "Ho! Ho! Ho!" thundered above us and echoed around us. All four of us jumped, gaped at each other, and darted toward the castle,